All right. That being said, there's some numbers that I want to point out. And I did this last week, and it seems like every week we got some great numbers we can point out. So I'm going to point these out real quick, David, and you tell me what stands out to you most. First one is this: 49ers now have 15 straight regular season wins. CMC now has 14 straight games with a touchdown. Kittle with his first 3-touchdown game of his career. Purdy is one of 2 starting quarterbacks now in the NFL with 0 INTs. The other one is rookie CJ Stroud. The 49ers now have 8 straight regular season games with 30 or more. And the 49ers are one of just 2 teams that remain undefeated. So out of those statistics that I just threw your way, those numbers, which one or one stand out to you the most?
Oh, boy. I mean, run those last 2 back again.
8 straight regular season games with 30 or more, and the 49ers are one of 2 teams that are undefeated.
Yeah, I was expecting them to be undefeated after as we went through this. I think that the 8 straight with 30 more, we both thought that the offense would have to be the engine for this team this year. And that's no slander on the defense. We expect the defense to be really, really good, as usual. But with that turnover to Wilkes, you're kind of like, okay, you go from Solid to D'Amico. Can they keep this run again with all these new DCs? Still, despite those expectations, putting 30 burgers up in the NFL is not easy. And the Niners are making it look easy. I think that's the other thing that people need to understand. Like these aren't like, it's just in every way. And outside of the Miami Dolphins, and they had a little hiccup against the Bills, and got back to business today against the lowly Giants. I mean, really, the Niners are the most consistent offensive team in the NFL this year. Like they're just piling up points, and it doesn't matter who it is. Make no mistake, this Cowboys defense is good. They're a good defense. They have really good players, and I know we're going to talk about this, but the Niners are doing that, and they're putting up points, and they made the Defensive Player of the Year runner-up, Micah Parsons, look completely invisible tonight. And I think that's the other thing about this is that if the Niners can do this and embarrass what some people think is the most iconic, it's the Niners. It's not the Cowboys. It's not America's team, right? They can embarrass on Sunday Night Football in prime time. They can do that to this defense. They can do this to any defense. So I think this game put them on notice. So there's going to be more of these. And next week in Cleveland, another solid defense, but struggle when Watson's out. I said 24-16 with my prediction tonight. Niners win. I think I gotta get on the bandwagon. I gotta start putting 30 plus.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, there's a lot of good numbers here. I'm gonna go through them again just because I think they all deserve something. 15 straight regular season wins, 14 straight games with a touchdown for CMC. Kittle had his first 3-touchdown game. Purdy is one of just 2 starting quarterbacks in the NFL without an INT.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, rookie CJ Stroud is the other. 8 straight regular season games with 30 or more, and the 49ers are one of just 2 teams that remain undefeated. The other one is the Philadelphia Eagles. Absolutely incredible right now. This is regular season wise. I mean, playoffs are another thing. We'll figure it out as we get there. But regular season wise, this is probably the most impressive regular season team going from last year into this year that I've seen as a 49er fan. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think the stat that you talked about, I mean, all of those are incredibly impressive. I know we're going to get there, but me behind the scenes, like I wanted Brock Purdy to be this guy from where I grew up rooting. It's become evident to me over the last couple of weeks that this kid just it's not intangibles either. He's balling. He's dealing. He's short, intermediate, deep. He's confident. And when you got to have you have to have a 4-leaf clover every now and then not to throw a turnover. But the fact that he's been able to keep doing this, there's something to it. And I have to, I don't want to go full homer here, but I guarantee you right now, the 49ers are the team that no NFL team wants to face. They don't.
Oh,
And
hold on a second. If there's a night to go full homer, tonight is that night, David.
Well,
Go all the way.
So I'll just say this. I'm going to really double down on this because I've been very nuanced about Brock. I have loved him. I root for him, but I've like objectively critique any player as they go through. I've said, like, I believe he'll remedy some of these things that he was kind of tightened up, like ball placement first couple of games. It's up and down. He had a little bit there at the beginning of the game tonight, and then just tightens things up. What the biggest play of the night I know was that play down to Ayuk. Burford gets a holding penalty, right? The very next play, it's first and what? 20, second and 20, whatever it was. Right, the same spot, goes right down to it. And the fact that I think that Kyle is trusting him is like also builds that confidence. There's something going on with this team, man, that somebody asked me the other day. I said, hey, who would you pick 2012, 2019, 2023? And I said, hey, it's a little early, 4 games in, right? I said, it's a little early to dismiss like the 2012 team. Right now, the way this team is performing, if I were to be honest, I'd roll with the 2023 team of all those teams that were listed. I'd roll with that team right now because I think that they're really firing on all cylinders. I don't want to get too far ahead, but yeah, I think that Brock deserves his flowers, and I know we're going to get there.
Well, let's not forget it's tough because I think living in the moment, I would definitely take the 2023 team. And I mean, we know those other 2 teams didn't win the Super Bowl, and this team still has a chance. The 2019 team scored 29.9 points a game as well for a whole season. Like that was, the offense was top 3, the defense was top 3. That team was clicking. The difference though is that, well, 2 differences. One, CMC, right? And then Brock Purdy. You just trust him so much more than you did Jimmy G. And it's funny, I got a message today. You guys all know Tommy Huxley in the chat. He'll be in here if he's not already, but he sent me a message before the game. He's like, "You nervous?" And I said, "No, Jimmy G's not playing. Why would I be?" So, and I wasn't joking. Like, it sounds like, kind of mean to say or whatever, but no, I'm not joking when I say that. That was the big difference. In 2019, there was a point where they lost to the Seattle Seahawks, and I was out on Jimmy G forever. From that point on, that was the game. And it just, I couldn't help but to be nervous every time he dropped back and every time he would throw and the ball would leave the screen. When Brock Purdy drops back and the ball leaves the screen, I get excited. I'm like, all right, how far down is this completion going? Who's going to catch the ball and what's going to happen once they do catch the ball? Are they going to break it or is this going to be a touchdown? Good things are bound to happen when the ball leaves the screen. I did not feel like that in 2019. And that is the biggest difference. Just going off of a gut feeling, certainly this team feels like a team that really could do something special. It does.
Yeah, and I think that what I see though is that you talk about. I don't want to talk about former 49ers too much. Like I'm not going to dwell on Jimmy or Slender, but like there is this confidence at quarterback and cornerback and any of these. Like confidence is king, and that I don't even call that like an intangible because like the confidence. Like I tell my students this all the time. Like confidence in nothing is just like mediocrity that struts. Right? Like you could have confidence in yourself and like still fall flat. Right? And like walk around like you're cock of the walk, you're nothing, right? Brock is just not like that. And like there were times with Jimmy where you'd see like a mistake and you kind of like you'd almost see it creep into his face. You'd even see that a little bit. I'm like with Trey, there's times where you kind of felt like, okay, you internalizing?
We talked about it. Yeah, we talked about
it. I don't see that with Brock Purdy. I just don't. And I also see that Kyle, not for whatever reason, we know the reasons, but Kyle clearly trusts Brock Purdy. And Brock is, I think somebody said before the game, but how humble he is. He's like Mr. Boy Scout. He comes off as just like, off the field, but he gets on the field. He does flip a switch. And Kyle's talking about like how he's cocky. Like he's legitimately almost arrogant on the field in a way, like in the huddle, like he's going to hold you. And like this, you could just see it. Like there's no wavering. And there were games this year that you're kind of like, okay, things are getting a little tight. And he stayed cool. This game, there was like, how many moments in this game were there when you felt, oof, Like I always get, Niners Cowboys, like my kids were in the room with me. Like I get nervous for that because that's my childhood, right? Like these are like the big game, right? You're thinking like very early on at the first drive. I think it was after the Christian McCaffrey fumble. I think after that, I'm like, that win. And then I was even keel the whole game. Like you just expect to win. This is where this team is.